Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be doing another region guide, and this time, you guys got to choose which region I'd cover. I scoured the comments of the last video in great detail, and it became very clear to me very fast what you guys wanted me to do. So today, we're going to be covering, drumroll please, Bleak Inlet. Congratulations, you are our winner. No, I don't wanna. This is my channel, and I don't have to do anything that I don't want to. Fine. Okay, let me get one thing straight right away, guys. I don't hate Hushed River Valley. I'm just less excited to cover it because, well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? But hey, you're watching this video, so obviously I found a way. It took me a while of just sitting and staring at the map and thinking to try and figure out how I wanted to approach this region. The big problem here is a lack of distinct landmarks. There are plenty of landmarks, but they're all things like waterfalls, boulders, and caves. And that's a problem because there's a lot of those throughout the region. While a region like Timberwolf Mountain has very distinct and unique landmarks like the cargo spots or plane parts. Another issue I was having was how to reach key locations. Similar to Timberwolf Mountain, Hushed River Valley has a lot of small, hidden areas with sparse amounts of loot scattered across the region. Plus, Hushed River Valley is almost completely wilderness. There are no man-made structures in the entire region except for the Prepper Bunker and Bunker Gamma if you have the Tales DLC. All of these things together meant that a vast majority of our key locations would be hard to spot or find without following the guide very closely, and it would be very easy to get lost. I ended up settling on a combination of my approach to Blackrock and Timberwolf Mountain. We will be splitting this region up into different areas, establishing a landmark to use as our starting point for exploring, and then cover the key locations within each area. Before we get ready to move on to the rest of the video, I want to remind everyone that these region guides are meant to help you learn to find your way around the most important areas of the region without completely spoiling all of the exploration. So I intentionally leave out smaller details and locations to allow for you guys to discover stuff for yourselves as well. So with all of my yapping done, let's go over the structure of this video. We'll be talking about the region's general information, why one would want to go to Hushed River Valley, transitions, the signal fires, hidden caches, the ice caves, and finally, the region's areas. If you couldn't tell, this video is going to be a long one. So heat up your coffees and snuggle into your blankets because we are just getting started. As I mentioned before, Hushed River Valley has no man-made structures at all, other than a bunker or two, neither of which is in a very convenient spot for exploring deeper into the region. This region is considered to be for very advanced players. There are quite a few important lures to the region, but it takes even the best players a good amount of time to learn how to navigate this region confidently. This doesn't mean that you have no hope though. That's why this video exists. I will do everything that I can to make this process easier. You just gotta keep in mind that this will be a tougher region, so give yourself some grace if it's taking you a minute. And you'll definitely want to make sure that you have some self-defense methods, good travel food, and a bedroll before you venture out here. So why would anyone want to go to Hushed River Valley? Well, as I mentioned, there is a Prepper Bunker spawn here, and Bunker Gamma for the Tales DLC. Additionally, there are a bunch of potential tool and weapon spawns throughout the region. But what if you're playing on Interloper? Is there any reason to go here when the bunkers will have little to no loot inside them, and you won't find hatchets, knives, or weapons? Yes. While a majority of the good loot that can potentially be found here won't be available in Interloper, there is a guaranteed spawn for a heavy hammer inside of Hushed River Valley when you're playing on Interloper. This region also has a few very unique systems/locations. The ice caves, hidden caches, and the signal fires, which we will cover in more detail in just a moment. The final thing to note about this region is that, due to it being almost purely wilderness, there are animals everywhere, meaning that hunting is phenomenal. But this is a double-edged sword as well, since there are very few places in this region that won't be a wolf, bear, or cougar's territory at some point. So make sure you keep an eye out and a weapon ready. Transitions will be very easy to cover. Hushed River Valley is what I call a dead-end region, meaning that there is only one transition to enter and leave from. This transition leads to Mountain Town and will be where we start our explorations for today. So if you need to navigate back there, then follow the routes we take today backwards to retrace your steps and find your way out of the region. Alrighty, let's start getting into some of our unique features of the region, starting with the mysterious signal fires. Upon entering Hushed River Valley for the first time, an astute observer will notice a smoke pillar visible along the horizon, deep into the region. This smoke comes from the mysterious signal fire, the only sign in survival mode that indicates the possibility of another survivor on Great Bear. Unfortunately, once you reach the fire, whoever made it is nowhere to be found, leaving a survivor to wonder if you could have found a friend if only you'd been there one day faster. Sorry, I just love to think of that whenever talking about these fires. You just got to appreciate and love the environmental storytelling that Hinterland has mastered. These signal fires are a very important location for the region and have extremely good loot at them. At the signal fire, you'll be able to find some food and other scattered loot items, but the most important thing you'll be able to find, as long as you're not playing on Interloper or Misery, is a guaranteed hatchet and a moose hide satchel, which is a crazy good find. Now, I'm sure that you Interloper players are wondering, well, what the heck? I don't get the moose hide satchel or the hatchet, so why would I go to the signal fire at all? Never fear, my fellow survivors, because to make up for the loss of those items, Hinterland has made it so you are 100% guaranteed to find a heavy hammer at the signal fire. This is such a good guaranteed drop to have that I've heard many Interloper players say how they always hope to start their runs in Hushed River Valley just so they can get to that hammer right away. So no matter what mode you play on, I highly recommend taking a trip to the signal fire. There are 2 possible locations for the signal fire in Hushed River Valley, but only one will spawn in each save, so keep that in mind for when we dive into the areas of the region. Okay, next up let's talk about hidden caches. Another way that this region helps to provide the survivor with some resources is with its hidden caches. These hidden caches are scattered throughout the region and will provide your survivor with a decent chunk of high quality loot. The region will always contain at least 4 hidden caches, according to the wiki, so take that with a grain of salt, with more spawning on easier difficulties. And they also don't always spawn in the same locations. Wait. How many locations are there? No. No, COD, please, no. What is this? Why? Why couldn't you guys have chosen Bleak Inlet? There are 25 possible spawn locations for the hidden caches across the region, which we will go over how to reach in greater detail once we get to the actual exploration guides. But for now, let's move on to the final unique feature of this region. Hushed River Valley is home to 2 networks of stunningly beautiful ice caves, which can be extremely helpful for navigating throughout the region in a quick and safe manner, as well as containing a decent amount of high quality loot and tools. Both networks have 3 entrances/exits, so let's finally do our first bit of exploration in this video to find our way to both networks and navigate through them. As we do this, make sure to keep the different entrances and exits in your mind, because we'll be using them as jumping off points for reaching the areas of the region later in the video. Okay, meet me at the transition into the region. The path ahead of you will split into 2 almost immediately, but we're just going to take the path that's straight ahead of us to get to both of the cave networks. Eventually, the path will turn right and take you over 2 little fallen tree bridges. Once you get over those 2, pause. Here is where the paths to the different networks will split, so remember this place to come back to later. We'll be going to the southern cave network first, so from this split, continue to walk along the path that you're currently on for a couple more steps until you find this larger fallen tree. Instead of crossing it, go down towards this rope climb and then climb it. Once you're at the top, follow the wall to your right to reach the first entrance of the southern ice cave network. Once you're ready, walk on into this cave. Alrighty, once you've had a moment to take in how stunningly beautiful this cave is, focus up. It may be beautiful here, but these caves are a maze. This is one of the very few times that I will recommend using spray paint, as you can use the arrows at each intersection in the cave to mark your path out. So if you have some, now is the time to use it. We all know that we're not using it for much else, if we're being honest. You're going to want to follow where I go very carefully to make sure you don't get lost. But if you ever come back to this location, or you're very confident that you won't get lost, make sure you explore the paths and dead ends that I don't show you here. This ice cave can have some crazy good loot in it, including a heavy hammer and bedroll among other things. Okay, let's get moving. Walk until you meet the first intersection, then take a right. This path will lead you to a rope climb. You can climb or go down it, and then follow this pathway. This right here is a bit of a longer stretch, but eventually you'll arrive at another split in the path. Take this path to the right and follow it until the next intersection, then take another right. You will quickly see the second entrance to the cave. We'll go into more detail on where exactly that is when we cover the region areas in more detail. But for now, turn around and go back to that intersection. Going left would be back the way we came, so go straight ahead instead and follow that path. Keep walking straight through the next intersection as well. Then take a right at the one after that. Now you can keep walking along this path and you'll at last reach the third and final entrance to this cave network. If you need to find your way back, just reverse engineer the path that we took to get here. But I will add that there is a shortcut back through the cave, but I'll leave that for you guys to discover on your own. Alrighty, let's go all the way back to where we initially broke off the path to head for the southern network, just after those two fallen tree bridges. From here, take a left and walk down this path. Once it opens up, shoot the gap between these two big boulders. Once you're through those, aim to walk by the left of this gigantic rock. Before we fully pass it though, stop when you see these scrub bushes. I wanted to quickly take note of this location because this cave will serve as our central landmark for the first of the region areas that we're going to be covering. And I wanted to have us note that here to save us a whole bunch of time to repeat the walk all the way over here. Anyway, with that in the good old brain hole, continue walking straight past that boulder until you find this steep drop off down into a river. This is the Hushed River, by the way, in case you were wondering. I wonder if it goes into a valley. That would be pretty cool. Anyways, walk down to the ice and walk to this waterfall. Now, for the first time in your time playing this game, I want you to listen to the fantasy goblin part of your brain that screams, "Check behind it for secrets," whenever you see a waterfall. Because the first entrance to the Northern Ice Cave Network is actually behind this waterfall. You're going to have to walk through the water to get in though, which might make you hesitate because it will bring your temperature down to 0 and completely soak your clothes. But let me share with you a little nugget of the wisdom that I've built up over the many years of playing this game. If you're ever going to walk through a waterfall, you can just have your survivors strip down to their skivvies before walking through. This won't stop your temp from hitting 0, but it will prevent all of your clothes from getting wet. So you can put them on afterwards and you won't have to deal with the weight and warmth penalties of having wet clothes. Anyways, walk on through the waterfall and enter the cave network. If you did choose to remove your survivor's clothing when entering, don't put them back on quite yet, because there is another point up here pretty soon where you're going to have to walk through water again. Start walking through the cave and continue until you get to the first intersection. Take a right and follow the path until you see the water that's rushing from the ceiling. Walk through that water and up onto the solid rock on the other side. From this point on, you won't have to deal with any more water, so you can cover up your poor shivering survivor. Once you're all dressed again, continue down the path and you'll quickly find another split. Walk straight through this one, and then the second northern cave entrance will be to the right of the next intersection. Like with the other cave network, we'll go over where exactly this spits you out when we cover the different areas of the region. Now, turn around and go back to the intersection that was just after the second waterfall. Straight ahead is where you came from, so take a right instead. This path will start to bring you up very quickly, and you'll soon find yourself at, yup, it's another intersection. These things never get old, am I right? They're great. Take a right at this one, and then follow the path until you reach the next one. Take another right, which will quickly bring you to... Wait. Oh my god, is that an intersection? Take yet another right here, and you'll end up in this large open area of the cave with a rope climb in it. Climb up it, and walk until you find another split. Take a left this time, and then, once you reach the final intersection, take the right, and you'll be able to see the third and final entrance to the Northern Network. The final thing that we're going to mention about the Northern Cave Network is that hidden cache number 25 actually spawns in this cave network. But I don't want to quite spoil for you where it is. It's somewhere in the cave, and I guarantee you can find it if you do some exploration. Okay, that's finally done. But I'm afraid that we still have a lot to do in this video, seeing as we haven't even started to cover the vast majority of the region and its key areas. Okay. Up until now, we've only been dipping our toes into the metaphorical pool that is Hushed River Valley. Now we're gonna have to get real brave and cannonball right into the deep end. So let's start talking about the region areas. I'm going to divide Hushed River Valley into 5 separate areas. The southern area, northern area, I couldn't think of more creative names for these two, the High Plateau, the River Valley, and the Monolith Lake Environs. Before I get into the areas though, I want to give a quick reminder that I will not be showing you guys every single loot location in each area. And instead, I'll be showing you the most important locations, like how we did in the Timberwolf Mountain video. Alrighty, no more procrastinating. Let's do this. The southern area of the region is by far the largest area, with the most stuff in it. Its main standouts are the transition into Mountain Town at the very bottom, and Bunker Gamma from the Tales DLC. I'm actually not going to be guiding you guys to the Tales Bunker in this video. I'm choosing to do that because discovering its location is inherently part of the DLC's story, and I want to leave that to you guys to figure out for yourselves. But with that said, let's start diving into the weeds of it. If you guys remember, we have already passed by the central landmark for this area before we headed into the northern ice cave network. So let's go back to that cave to start exploring the area. First off, this cave has a potential hatchet spawn inside of it, so don't forget to check for that. We're going to be doing a few loops around this area to scan a bunch of potential loot spawns and hidden cache locations. For our first loop, start at the cave and then head this way to reach the end of this river. Once you get there, follow where I go to walk up onto the bank on the other side of the river. Now, there are two ways to get to where we're going. You can go towards this wall climb, but you're going to need a hatchet to get through the scrub bushes. If you would like to take that route, you can. But if you don't have a hatchet or just don't want to take that route, take a left and hug this wall. Follow it for a bit, and eventually you'll end up between these two boulders and see these rosehip bushes. Walk over to those rosehip bushes, and you'll end up on this ledge where there's a potential spawn for a corpse with a woodwright's bow. I didn't get this spawn in this save, but I'll put an example of the spawn up on screen for you. There's going to be quite a few of these potential spawns for the woodwright's bow, but keep in mind that only one will spawn in your save. So if you go here and find it, you don't need to bother checking the other spots. Now walk down this slope. If you look to the right, you'll see the wall climb that you had to whack through scrub bushes to get up to. So if you chose to go that way, you can reach this ledge by coming over here and walking up the slope that we just walked down. But if you want to keep moving forward, go left and follow the cliff to your left to find this area, where there's a possible spawn for an abandoned camp, which may have a hatchet at it. After that, follow where I go to reach this other wall climb. Climb down it, and then check this patch of trees for this hollowed out tree. Inside this tree is our first potential hidden cache location. Hidden cache number 3. From here, turn around and try to find this little pond with a fallen tree across it. Walk to it and pass it on the left. Keep going until you find another pond area. Keep an eye out for the frozen corpse right here that may have a hatchet on it. Now follow the pond a little bit more until you're about to cross under these two walls. Then look at the wall to the right to check for another potential hidden cache. Hidden cache number 2. After that, we have 2 more stops on this loop. Walk straight through this patch of trees that you can see straight ahead of you. After that, take a right and cross this fallen tree. Then take a left and walk up this hill, passing 1 level on the cascading waterfall. Now walk onto the ice at this level of the falls, and check this mound of rocks for yet another potential hidden cache. Hidden cache number 1. Now turn around and walk down the hill that you just came up. But we're going to quickly turn right and walk through this tree arch. Walk through this group of trees toward the water on the other side of them. Now look for this giant tree arch on the hill across the ice and walk towards it. Pass through it and continue walking up the hill. This part is a little bit tricky, but you can walk up it. You just have to shimmy back and forth a little bit. Once you're past that, you might find another frozen corpse laying in the snow a tiny bit farther up the hill, which may have a hunting knife with it. Now, to get back to the cave, walk back down to the water and follow it downstream very briefly, taking a right after this boulder. Walk down to the pond, take a left, and just a couple of steps ahead of you, you'll find our central cave. Alrighty, next loop. For this one, head towards the area where we went down to the river when seeking out the northern cave network. But, right as you get close to this wall on your left, walk up to these 3 trees instead. If you look right here, you may be able to see the tiniest corner of hidden cache number 4 poking out of the snow. Now turn around and thread right through these trees to end up at a little pond, which may have a corpse with the woodwright's bow. After that, just walk up the bank on the other side of the pond and there will be a potential campsite location with various supplies and the possibility of a knife. For the final stop on this loop, you're going to need a hatchet to break through the scrub bushes in order to access it. Follow the river downstream until you can spot these scrub bushes ahead of you. Once you see them, walk up to them, but don't break them. You can't actually get up this spot because it's too steep. Instead, walk along the hill to the right to find another bunch of scrub bushes. Break them and head to the top of the hill to reach Valley View Point. Up here, you might find an abandoned camp with some stray supplies, a frozen corpse, or hidden cache number 19. Once you've finished up at this location, follow where I go back down the hill. Once you reach this frozen pool, take a slight right, walk across the water, past this fallen tree on the right, and then walk up to the left of this wall and hug it as it brings you to the right. The last thing we'll do before arriving back at the central cave is stop at this tree with Old Man's Beard lichen on it, and check behind this partially uprooted tree, because hidden cache number 7 just might be hiding in this little spot. Now keep following that wall for only a couple more steps, and you'll find yourself back at the cave. Okay, for our third and final loop in this area of the region, we're gonna return to the Old Man's Beard lichen tree, and then walk to past this tree arch on the left. Once you do, walk up to this boulder, and you'll find a little cave blocked by scrub bushes. You're gonna need a hatchet to get through it, but once you do, this cave will contain some loose loot, possibly a pry bar, and you might even find hidden cache 6. Now turn around and walk to the tree arch again. Take a left once you pass this rock, and walk up to the scrub bushes you can see across the way, which will get you back on a familiar path. If you're in the right spot, this will take you back up towards where we split routes to reach the ice cave networks. Keep on following that path until you walk up to this area where the cliff forms an overhang. See that bundle of rocks to the left over there? Well, go check the other side of it, because you just might find a corpse with a rifle. Definitely a useful find. Once you've done that, cross the fallen tree bridge here. The first thing to do is check this spot for hidden cache number 22. Then, walk to the center of the rock formation. There are a couple variations of loot that might be up here, such as a backpack with a revolver, or an abandoned campsite with some various loot, or nothing at all. But it'll definitely be a spot you want to check. Once you're all done there, go down this side of the rock formation, and follow the wall to your right for just a moment to reach this split in the path. Going right here will bring you to a small area with a rope climb that brings you up to the high plateau. There also may be a corpse with a hatchet there as well, so it might be worth checking out. Going to the left will bring you to another rope climb that brings you down to the river valley. We'll ignore these for now, and instead turn around and walk down this path. There's only 2 real things of note that you'll find along this path. The first of which is behind these scrub bushes, which you will once again need a hatchet to get through. On the other side, you'll find a ledge overlooking the river valley that might have a hatchet. You also might find hidden cache 20 or hidden cache 21 right here next to these rocks. Back up to the path now. Following it a little bit farther, you'll find some more scrub bushes to chop. On the other side will be a wall climb. Once you climb down it, keep an eye on the left wall while you continue on, and you'll soon find a cave. This cave is actually the second entrance to the southern ice cave, so if you want to use that network as a shortcut, you can come down here to access it. Turn around now and walk back up the path the way you came. Once you get back up that wall climb, you'll be able to see the path actually splits here. We just came down from the left, so now we're going to go up these 2 wall climbs to the right to get out. Once you're up them, veer left a tiny bit because there could be a corpse with a knife here. After that, look over here and try to spot this tree. It'll be the one that's kind of separated from the others and has no pine needles on it. Walk up to that tree and you'll notice that it's hollowed out at the base, and if you got lucky, you just might find hidden cache number 5 in here too. Okay, with that, we have finally checked everything of note within this area of Hushed River Valley. All we have to do to wrap it up is get back to our central cave. While looking at the hollow tree, look right at this big rock. Pass it on the right and just keep walking straight past it. After a little bit of walking, you should be able to recognize this nice combo of the Old Man's Beard tree and the uprooted tree. Meaning that all you have to do is follow the wall to your right for a couple seconds to find yourself back at the cave. Okay. Whew. That's one area down. It only took over 2 pages to cover. Well, it can't stop now. Gotta keep it going. The bright side of this is that I'm doing the areas of this region in order from most packed to least packed. So that means that this stuff will get faster and faster as we go through each area. So let's not dilly-dally and instead get right into the northern area of Hushed River Valley. You know, eventually I feel like I'm going to be able to say Hushed River Valley without tripping over my own tongue, but I guess it's not today. First off, our central landmark for this area is going to be the second entrance to the northern ice cave system. So using the walkthrough of that cave from earlier, find your way to this spot just outside of that entrance. One thing about this area of the region that is much nicer than the last is that the hill that this cave is in stretches far higher than the surrounding terrain in the area. So if you ever find yourself lost, look for the tall, pointy rock to find your way back to the center. To explore this area, we'll do one loop and then a couple direct excursions. The first thing here is to follow the wall until it makes a sharp turn. At this point, there will be a tree right next to the wall, but before you pass it, be sure you check the other side of it for hidden cache number 12. Once you've done that, walk up to the top of the hill and you might find an abandoned camp. This camp might have a cooking pot, some food, but most importantly, a hunting rifle. So this spot is definitely a must check. Next, look back the way you came and spot this line of boulders. Walk along the right side of those boulders until you're able to spot this partially uprooted tree. Once you see it, walk over to it and check the base of this rock that's next to it for hidden cache number 9. Next up, face away from the river and walk up this hill. Once on top, you'll be able to see a marshy area with a bunch of trees. We're going to want to head in the direction of these birch trees that you can see over here. Once you get to the end of the ice near those trees, stop and look for this dead, uprooted tree. Walk over to it and check underneath the roots for hidden cache 10. Now we're in a little bit of a pickle. There are 2 possible nearby corpses that will have either a hatchet or a knife on them. I could give a crap ton of obscure landmarks to reach them, but the better way is to simply use one of Great Bear's greatest tools instead. Crows. While you're here, listen and look for circling crows. If you see some circling to your right and on top of the little wall, find your way up there to find the corpse with a knife. If you see some circling forward and to the left of you, near the wall of the region, then follow them to find the corpse with a hatchet. Now, like I mentioned before, find the giant pointy rock and make your way over to it to find yourself back at the cave. Now we're going to go on 3 more linear expeditions. The first one will take us down to the Hushed River, where we'll find a cave with a potential knife spawn. For this one, go here and stand right above these rosehip bushes, and look this way to spot this tree, the one with no pine needles. Walk towards that tree and you'll pass a little area of frozen water. Keep an eye out for a corpse spawn next to this hollowed out tree. If it has spawned, this corpse will have a hatchet. Just a little bonus gift for you guys along the way. Anyway, stop at this hollow tree and then walk past the rocks next to it and take a right. If you keep going straight after that, you'll soon find this rope climb, which you're going to want to climb down. Follow the river left and you'll soon find the cave along the left wall. To get back, just climb up the rope and look for the pointy hill to get back to our central landmark. For our next little excursion, we're actually going to meet back at the hollow tree that we were just at. This time, turn towards the water. Doesn't it kind of look like an arrow? Maybe, sort of. Let's pretend like it does. Well, I mean, that's just nature telling us we should follow it. Go the way that this water arrow points until you reach a river. Then, follow that river to the right and stop next to these 2 fallen trees. The first tree takes you down to the riverbed right below this waterfall. Make sure you take a glance at the ice near the waterfall, because there may be another hatchet here. The second bridge has a couple of things in store, so let's cross it. The first thing you'll see is this cave, which is the 3rd entrance to the southern ice cave. The next thing you'll be able to see is over here. There's a couple different possible corpses that can spawn here, so check around the area and look for crows to help guide you to them if they are here. One of them might have a knife, and another one might have the woodwright's bow. There also might be an abandoned camp as well. The final thing is this wall climb. This puts you on a path that brings you to the Monolith Lake Environs. So keep that in mind for if you want to get back to that area. Now that we've looked over here, go back over the fallen tree bridge, then turn left and walk to this cluster of trees. You're looking for this hollow tree, which may have a hatchet in it. As you can see here, it is very buried, so keep a sharp eye. Finally, turn around and walk across this fallen tree, the one that you haven't crossed yet. Once across, walk to the leftmost tree you can see on this stretch of land. Once you get closer, you'll be able to see this little bump near it. Go up to it and you'll be able to check for hidden cache number 8. That's it for this expedition, so retrace your steps back to the cave that we started at so we can do our final trip for this area. To start, walk past this oak tree on the right, and keep going until you see frozen water. You'll now be able to see the dead tree sticking out of a rock formation. Walk up to it and check to the left of the scrub bushes for hidden cache number 11. Additionally, if you follow me to the other side of the rock formation here, you may find a hatchet near the edge of the water. The very last thing in this region is to go across the water and through this tree arch to end up at this rope climb. This is another way that you can use to reach the Monolith Lake Environs. And speaking of which, let's start covering that area. See guys, this area only took half as long as the other one. Just don't look at how long is left in the video and believe that it's almost done. We're getting there. For the rest of the areas in this region, we'll be abandoning the one main central landmark approach, and instead we'll be pathing our way through the area by keeping note of and returning to various landmarks to prevent having too much backtracking. Okay, for the Monolith Lake Environs, first we have to get to the area, which you can do if you make your way through the northern ice cave and go through the third entrance, which will spit you out right here. To your right is a waterfall. If you go across the river, there's a path that leads up and into the wall behind the waterfall. In there, you might find a rifle. If you keep going up this way, you'll find a wall climb. If you have a hatchet to whack through the scrub bushes at the top, you can hug the hill on your left to find the top side of the rope climb that we just saw in the northern area of the region. But with that said, meet me back at the cave entrance now. We're gonna go to the first possible signal fire location. Follow the left side of the river and you'll eventually see this path with some scrub bushes blocking it. Once again, you're gonna need a hatchet to break through. But once you do, you can just walk forward and the signal fire will be right at the end of the path. As you guys can see, the signal fire looks just like the fire outside of Thompson's Crossing in Pleasant Valley, and has a snow shelter, backpack, and some loose food, and a moose-hide satchel. Of course, like we said before, the loot here will change based on your difficulty. This is being recorded on Pilgrim, so there's a lot more than we would have in Stalker, for example, and the general loot itself will change a lot on Interloper. But regardless of all of that, it is still one of, if not the most important places to reach within the region. So, if your signal fire spawns here, then make sure that you take the trip over to it. Okay, let's return to the cave one last time. Now, turn left and follow me down this path. Just before we reach the water, check the base of this odd rock poking out of the snow for hidden cache number 13. Then walk down to the little waterfall here. If you go right and follow the river, you'll end up at the top side of the path that the wall climb in the northern area puts you on. But there's nothing else other than that to find in that direction, so instead, follow me to the left and walk up this fallen tree to get to the other side of the river. Once you're there, keep walking straight ahead until you reach Monolith Lake. Monolith Lake has two waterfalls that feed into it, and we're actually going to walk up to both. First, let's head to the one on the left, Banner Falls. If you check this spot here, you may find hidden cache number 14. Now walk to the other waterfall, the Watchful Falls, and you'll quickly be able to see the lake cave. Inside the lake cave, you might find a knife among some other loose items as well. Now from here, we have only one more place to check, and it's at the region's peak. If you look along the left wall from the lake cave, you'll be able to see the path that we need right away. So follow me over there and don't stop until you spot the oak trees. The real reason we came up here is to check for hidden cache number 15, which you can find by following me to the very end of the peak and checking this spot, where you just might find the cache nestled in between two of these rocks. Holy cod guys, that area only took half a page, so let's not lose this momentum and keep this ball rolling. Next up is the River Valley. And if you remember, all the way back to our southern area, there was a rope climb that took us down here, so meet me at the bottom of that. This area has very few things to check for, but it's also quite small. So the first thing we're going to do is follow the wall to our right. We're going to follow this for a good while and keep an eye out for a big fallen tree. This one, to be exact. Keep this spot in mind so we can return later. For now, follow me to make your way onto the tree and walk across it to reach Moose Overlook. If you follow it to the end, you'll find the final potential spawn for the Woodwright's bow. Once you've done that, make your way back down from the overlook and follow me to this very specific tree. Now, mini rant here guys, this has got to be one of the stupidest things that I've ever seen in this game, and I am not exaggerating. I spent at least 20 minutes trying to find the location for hidden cache number 18, which the map I was using said would be right around this area. I checked around every tree, every rock, and it wasn't until I was just about ready to call it quits and just start crying about it that I remembered that a lot of the loot and caches in this region are partially covered or hidden/buried in snow. So I thought, fine, what if I use the console to clip under the ground and check for it? It only took me a couple of seconds to find it, and guess what? It's completely hidden in the tree. No corners, hints, nothing to help you spot it on your own. I'm honestly baffled that anybody was ever able to find this thing. I mean, I know that I wouldn't have been able to if I didn't clip through the ground because I deliberately looked for it and couldn't find it. Anyways, with that little rant aside, if you follow me to the right tree, and this cache has spawned in your save, then you'll be able to loot it by looking down here at the tree's base. Now we're going to check for another possible hatchet spawn. Follow me downstream to where the Hushed River flows into the landslide. Once you're there, look around for this cave. Inside will be some loose supplies and potentially a hatchet. After you've finished up there, return to the fallen tree again. This time, follow me across the river and into this pathway. While walking through this small path, keep your eyes on the wall to the left and look for hidden cache number 17, which should be pretty easy to spot if you have it in your save. Now finish walking through the path and you should quickly see a rope climb to your right. Make your way up that rope and you just might find a corpse with a rifle across the landing that you end up on. Plus, if you break up the scrub bushes over here, there's another rope climb that brings you back up to the Monolith Lake Environs, but I'll let you guys discover that area for yourselves. Alrighty, just like that, we've only got one more place to check for this area, so go back down the rope and follow the river upstream. Take a right when the river forks and walk up to this tree to get onto the left bank of the river. Now, walk up towards the waterfall and check this spot for hidden cache number 16. Alright guys, final area. The high plateau is definitely the most linear of the areas because the place is practically just a line. To get there, you just have to follow the same path that we took to get to the first entrance of the Southern Ice Cave network, but stop at the top of the long rope climb instead of going to the cave. Alrighty, let's observe our surroundings really quick. This area expands out to the left and to the right. To the right, there's only two things of note, another hidden cache and the prepper bunker. I will be bringing you to the hidden cache, but I won't be bringing you to the bunker. This video is already way more than long enough, and I already covered it in this video on prepper bunkers. So if you want to know how to reach the prepper cache, then go to this video and use the video chapters to skip right to the Hushed River Valley section. Or you could watch the whole thing, I don't care, whatever you want. I mean, it'd be nice, but whatever you guys want to do, that's okay. To the left, there's another hidden cache, a possible hatchet, and the second signal fire spot. So, to quickly knock out the right side, follow me from the rope climb and go past the ice cave entrance, then walk up this hill. Once you get all the way to the top, you can check this spot for hidden cache number 23. Okay, back to the rope climb now. Now look left. You'll be able to see this slope. Walk up that and then cross the fallen tree bridge that's at the top. The other end of the ledge that you're now on may have an abandoned camp that spawns, plus a potential hatchet. On top of that, if you walk up closer to the rocks, you can check here for hidden cache number 24, the final hidden cache. Once you finish up there, we can finally close out the areas of Hushed River Valley with our final location. Go back to the bottom of the slope that led to the tree bridge. Now turn left to follow the main pathway here. Keep going until you reach this spot. To the right are some scrub bushes that you can break apart to get through, but if you don't have a hatchet, you can go to the left. The only problem with going left is that it's a one-way drop, so if you go that way, you won't be able to walk back the way you came without breaking the scrub bushes. Make your choice, and you'll find yourself in this wider open area. Follow where I go, and if the signal fire spawned here for you, you'll soon be able to see it. Plus, just next to the signal fire is the top side of that rope that was mentioned way back in the southern area of the video. So, you can take this rope to get back down there if you so desire. Holy cod, guys, we did it. The areas are complete. I just have a few more brief things to say before we can at last close out this video. First of all, I'm sure many of you have spent the last, 30 minutes or something thinking, why are they numbering the hidden caches but listing them in the wrong order? Well, the reason for that is because there's actually a couple of rules to how they can spawn, and the numbers are important for that. I do want to give credit for this to the people that created the maps on the Long Dark Wiki, because I don't know if I would have been able to deduce this on my own. When I said that there would be at least 4 caches in each save, again, according to the wiki, so all of the grains of salt on that information, I wasn't giving the full story. In reality, it works like this. This is a graph from the map that I'm using that provides and explains perfectly how these caches work. Although there is no column for Interloper, so I don't know if it's the same spawn stats as Stalker for Interloper or not. You will be able to still find hidden caches on Interloper though, I can verify that. Regardless, this graph shows that the game has a set number of caches that will spawn and are randomly chosen from various pools of caches. For example, when playing on Voyager, the game will randomly pick 3 caches out of the caches 1 through 7 to spawn. The exception to this randomness rule is caches 19 through 24. As you can see, there are 3 possible combinations of caches that you might get: 19 and 20, 23, and 21, 22, and 24. So, if you found hidden cache number 23 in your save, you don't need to bother checking for caches 19 through 20 or 24, because you can be confident that they aren't there. The final thing I want to mention is that there are still plenty of other things to explore and surprises to be had in this region that I've chosen to leave out. Despite the fact that I go a lot more into specific spawns for regions that are mostly wilderness like this, I promise you that there are still more secrets to be discovered. Alrighty guys, if you made it this far in the video, then thank you so much for watching. You are a real one, let me tell ya. You now know everything that you need to know to be the master of Hushed River Valley. I hope. I mean, I'd better have gotten to everything in this video. I know that this video is super long and there was so much to cover, so I'm bound to have missed something important, so if I did, then please leave a comment to let me and everybody else know. And speaking of comments, don't forget to comment the region that you want to see me cover next. If you liked the video, then please like the video. It really helps out the channel a lot. If you want to see more from me, then grab the nearest fish and slap that subscribe button. You are all amazing, and I will see you in the next one.